know if Pinterest is going to work for my brand? I get this question quite often, and there is a tactic that I often will use to determine if Pinterest is a really good fit for a company or not. Now, one of the most common questions I get is this one, and oftentimes, because I'm so quick at determining if Pinterest is good for a brand or not, I don't ever explain the process of what you need to know if you want to figure this out on your own. So that's the question that I'm answering today, and I'm actually going to walk you through the entire phase of what you would need to look for to validate if this platform is a good fit for you. Now, the short answer and what I'm going to lay out for you is all around keyword strategy and how they fit into your customer journey, or your Pinterest customer journey specifically. So I have 3 phases that I'm going to lay out for you today based on a Pinterest customer journey, and I have examples for each phase. Now, one of the most common questions is it a good fit? But I get a lot of different industries that actually are a good fit. It's just a matter of whether you want to prioritize it for your brand or not. Now, one of the recent ones I got is around anime, and I'm stretching myself a little bit here because I'm not really big into anime myself. I don't have a lot of knowledge around this, but I do love watching Studio Ghibli stuff on YouTube. I love the painting videos and stuff like that. So that's where I'm stretching myself today. That was a recent question from someone who hopped on a call with me. So I thought I would use that example and show you what this looks like for this niche. The 3 customer phases for any buyer journey, no matter whether it's Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, Google, are very simple. It's discovery or awareness is another term. Pinterest uses the term discovery, consideration, and purchase. And then beyond that is like post-purchase and getting people back into the buyer cycle. However, the 3 main components of any buyer journey are those: discovery, consideration, and purchase. So for this very first step, actually, in this example, I'm going to show you with each phase is the goals and keywords for each. So for the very first phase of discovery, we really want to determine what someone is searching for related to our brand and how that really fits into our business. Now, one thing that you do want to be aware of is there's a lot of DIYers on Pinterest. Pinterest is a really great place for people who are looking to DIY things themselves. For example, this office I'm sitting in right now, the first place I went last year in October when I was looking to plan this space was Pinterest. I was looking for plans, I was looking for ideas and inspiration for what my office could look like. Now I'm sitting in it. So I definitely am a product of Pinterest usership and bringing that full circle. So some of the goals in the discovery phase really are to boost visibility, drive that initial engagement for like pin clicks and saves, to optimize your keywords in search. So as people are looking for things like anime wall art, your keywords are on those pins, and as people engage with them, that solidifies the keyword strategy that you're implementing. And the last thing is to increase brand awareness. So 4 main goals in the discovery phase. Now, some of those example keywords are anime wall art, anime wall decor, anime art styles, and cool anime drawings. These are some of the examples that I came up with through this research. Now, I want to note that there is a very big difference between how to draw anime eyes and My Neighbor Totoro wall art, okay? So as you are thinking in this discovery phase, trying to determine, especially if you are in a niche where you could fall into the DIY or the teacher or the seller of the product, this is very common in the art space, you want to make sure that you're validating the right thread or the right type of keywords. So you may, in that discovery phase, find a lot of DIY stuff, but you may not find very much stuff for sale or that people are actually looking to buy. So you need to know the difference. Now, next we move on to the consideration phase of this buyer journey. In this part of the process, you may want to show the behind the scenes process of how you create your art. You might want to educate your potential buyers on the different things that are going on within what you do. So what's your process? What's your behind the scenes? What kind of stuff do you use to create your art? How did you get inspiration for this? Those sorts of pins are in that consideration phase of the journey. But I do want to let you know that the consideration and the purchase phase of a journey do tend to bleed together a lot for me, especially because as people start to become aware of what they want, now consideration is really decision-making time, trying to figure out if the solutions presented to them are going to fit for what they need and their goals and outcomes. And then as it moves into purchase, so you can see where the gift idea keywords or the specific art type keywords might come into play here. So some of the goals for consideration are to increase engagement, not only on Pinterest, but on your website, which means to drive traffic. So we are looking to drive traffic to our websites so people can see what we have to offer. We also want to build desire and intent around the products or services that we have for sale. And lastly is simply to educate our audience on what we have. What are their options that we have that we can give them? So some keywords around this consideration phase could be like, quote, specific anime, so like Studio Ghibli anime art or Studio Ghibli canvases. They may even be adding on additional keywords as they bleed from consideration to purchase for things like gift ideas or to buy or downloadable prints. So just be aware of that as well. So at this point, you may be wondering and asking yourself, well, what am I looking for specifically related to these keywords to determine if this platform is a good fit for me? Quite simply put, you're looking for content related to what you do. So if you're noticing a lot of other art prints for sale that are in the same vein of what you create, then that's validation that people are A, engaging in this space from your perspective. And if you're noticing keywords in these search terms, then B, you know that customers are looking for those search terms on Pinterest and there's enough desire for them that Pinterest has added them into that search. One common thing that I actually look for is the autofill and related search terms, just to know how much people are actually looking for these. So if you were to go to the search bar and search Studio Ghibli art and just let your cursor blink for a few seconds, there's going to be a pop-up there and you're going to notice some autofill suggestions that are going to pair with that initial seed keyword you put in. And that's a really good indicator that by now, in this part of your research phase, you should be understanding whether or not your stuff is there or not. Now, one example I had a couple of years ago for a client that we ran some ads for, and we just did an organic setup for, was actually in the health space. And it wasn't necessarily for consumers, but it was for people in that space that are doing that job. So people like radiologists that would go on Pinterest and search for test examples or something of that nature, then the content from our client would then pop up. And I'll get to that in a moment. As we move into the purchase phase, the entire goal of this phase is to sell, sell, sell. We obviously want people to buy our product the further they get down into that funnel. As we start to think about selling, then the keywords really are going to be very specific product type keywords. Something else you're going to notice in this phase of a journey, of a customer journey, is products in the search results. So whereas the previous searches have resulted in pins that are how-to in nature, behind the scenes videos, Pinterest pins that are like landscape painting ideas for Studio Ghibli. The purchase phase is going to be very much product centric, and sometimes buyers do use that little tiny filter in the top left hand corner of a search result to filter into a product based search. So just know that there are different ways to look for your Pinterest content, and people may be looking in different ways. So they'll put something in the search bar and then use those filters to filter down into products, boards, profiles, and all pins. Now, some keyword examples for this purchase phase of a buyer journey on Pinterest could be Studio Ghibli Christmas gift ideas or Studio Ghibli painting on canvas. They're looking for very specific products to buy, and they may, just like I mentioned in the consideration slide, be pairing some of these keyword searches with things like Studio Ghibli wall art for sale or to buy or gift ideas to take them to those product-based searches that they are really ultimately looking for. So in essence, it really all comes back to keywords and what content is being populated on this platform. Are your competitors and community members sharing content of what you create, products, services, and content to Pinterest? And are you finding that there? And then on the flip side, are there keyword search terms to support those items that you are looking to promote? Now, at the end of the day, there are 24 different categories on Pinterest that people are using and promoting organically or otherwise within. Those 24 categories encompass just about everything you can think of, including like cars, which is so weird. But people are looking for things like that on Pinterest as well. Now, I want you to remember the example that I just gave you a second ago about a former client of mine in the medical space. They were looking to target a very specific group of people. Now, that group of people in the United States alone is like less than 10,000, but they are all primarily women, and they are primarily Gen X and millennial with some older people in the baby boomer generation. Now, with that being said, even though it's a small community in the United States, one thing that you might consider doing, which is what this client did, is to populate their content on Pinterest and park it there, knowing that if their ideal audience were to search for their content on Pinterest, then they would find it. So it may not even be your primary marketing strategy. It may not even be something that you want to actively participate in as part of your marketing strategy, but Pinterest may be a platform where you want to populate your content, park it for a while, and walk away from it while you focus on other marketing avenues. So it's not something that you really have to do all the time as part of your strategy, because Pinterest is a long-term solution for free and organic Pinterest traffic. Now, with that being said, this is a search engine. I did showcase for you today the different phases of a buyer journey and how the keywords fit into those strategies. So I do challenge you to head on out to Pinterest and give these a try. Now, if you're looking for more Pinterest marketing content, head on over here and watch those videos, and I'll see you over there.